sim racing dashboards, and specifically the phone option. You have a couple of options out there, just so that everyone knows. Some people come in new, you might not be acquainted to this whole topic of having your own real dashboard and such. There's basically three options. Option number one, you use the in-game, in-car dashboard, which is perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with that. But if you want something within your environment that you can physically touch, you might want to consider the other two options. Option number one is having a dedicated display with an encasing, and you can find a lot of companies that do these type of sim racing dashboards nowadays. So you can probably find one for a decent amount. I would say they're not cheap. They're not cheap at all. And that's why option number three comes into play, which is, I don't know if you can make out from it, but this is a actual phone. So option number three is a phone, which I would say probably one of the benefit is it wouldn't cost you a thing. I mean, unless you actually buy a phone to use it specifically as a dashboard, you wouldn't pay much. You wouldn't pay anything if you have a phone lying around, or even your current phone, and just using that as a dashboard. So benefit number one for this option is no cost. Just use a phone that you have lying around. Benefit number two is you have a larger screen radius with a lot more colors. Like, that's what phones are known for having nowadays large screens with a lot of colors, high refresh rate, and all of this stuff. So that's another benefit comparing to some of the products that you buy that have like cheaper built-in like screens, displays, and things like that. Not all of them, but some of them have like very small and cheap screens. It's also usually more compact. Like, I mean, this is an iPhone 6s Plus, right? The screen is ginormous, but if you look at how thin this thing is, yeah, and light, you can basically put it anywhere and it wouldn't take up much space. And the reason why I actually used this was because I had this iPhone 6s Plus lying around, and well, this is lying around, I'm not doing anything. The battery is kind of dead, so it's currently not, you'd have it for half an hour or an hour max. But I had it set up on my rig, plugged in, and always charging. So always with the plug-in. So it didn't mind. There was absolutely no issue with that whatsoever. Now, it was also a white phone, with the surface was white, so it didn't really fit into the whole setup and such. So I decided to buy from eBay this, and I'll put a link to this as well. I decided to buy this carbon fiber looking wrapping. It's very thin wrapping, and it's carbon fiber looking, which is pretty sick. And that actually made it fit in front of my monitor really well, because it doesn't look like a phone at all. When you look at it, it just looks like a dashboard. Now, in terms of some of the downsides, number one, these are more complex to set up. I would say a tiny bit more complex than a regular HDMI display, which is a lot easier to just, if you have the HDMI display on, hooked up, and you're in SimHub, if you're using SimHub, you just go to the dashboard layout, click, cast on X screen, and there you go, you have it shown on the screen. With this, it's a bit more complicated because you actually have to use a IP over Wi-Fi connection. You basically, and I'll explain how to do this, but basically the fact that it's a bit more complicated to set up, that's a downside. And because of the Wi-Fi connectivity to your PC where you run SimHub, it's also a tiny bit laggier than you would have your regular one. So I was looking at, for example, throttle and RPMs. RPMs in the game move a fraction faster than this. So this is slightly behind the in-game RPMs, which, you know, those extra fractions of a milliseconds you sometimes count, right? So that's a downside. The other thing is, still, because of the Wi-Fi connectivity, if your internet connection drops, the screen freezes. So then you have to reload the whole screen. If you're mid-race, that is annoying AF, especially if this is the only display that you see. It gets super annoying having the screen freeze over a race. Now, I've heard, I don't know about iPhone, this is an iPhone, yeah, but I heard that with Android you can actually tether, USB tether. So basically USB tethering should solve these problems. I've not found how to USB tether in the iPhone iOS ecosystem, so I was using it as Wi-Fi. So I said that it's a bit more costly, a bit more complex to set it up, but how do you actually set it up in SimHub? Well, first of all, very obvious, install SimHub, and afterwards, when you go to Dash Studio tab in SimHub, you should have an option somewhere, I'll put it on the screen, saying to load the dashboards, to load on a phone or a tablet. I think it's in a corner right, saying load on phone or tablet. When you click on that, what it will do, it's going to pop up a new window and show you an IP address. So what you need to do is take that IP address, go on your phone, on the browser, type in the browser that IP address. That will load SimHub with a list of all of your dashboards, and then you can select the dashboard and it will appear, and that's your dashboard. Now the downside of that is you will have the browser tab, the browser bar on top, which you might not want that, but there is a way to get rid of it. I'm not sure how you get rid of it on Android, but on iPhone you can select the share option and then create a home screen shortcut for that specific page from the browser. And what that does, it will create a shortcut icon on the dash or on your homepage or whatever your list of apps. And when you click on it, you will notice that it starts without the whole browser bar, which is neat. Now, one thing to be mindful with that is the fact that sometimes that IP that SimHub generates for you to navigate on the phone changes. When that happens, that home tab doesn't work anymore, because that home tab that you open as you would open an app has attached that previous IP. So basically you need to delete that tab, that bookmark on home, and then go to the browser, use the latest IP, and go through the same process. I've noticed on my end it doesn't update that often, so it's not like every single time I start my PC I need to go through this process over and over again, but it does happen sometimes. With SimHub you have a very limited number of dashboards available in Dash Studio, which you can use, but I'll put a link in the description to some really cool projects on Race Department forum. With the one that I use, which is a Porsche, which is a super nice, very crisp, very nice, with a lot of good information in there. A Porsche dashboard that I use, I think, is for the Porsche Cup car. And then I also share a link to all of the SimHub dashboards. It's a GT pack for ACC. It's called ACC dashboards or something like that. And I think that tries to replicate the dashboards that you get in ACC, in the cars in ACC. Very simple to install. All you do is download the files and then double click on the files because they're recognized by SimHub, and SimHub will ask you if you want to install, and you install it, and that's it. That's all you need to do, and then you'll find them in the list of dashboards in Dash Studio. Dash Studio, I think I don't know if it's called Dash Studio or what. Yeah, and then you can load any of them through the browser feature on your phone. You can go back, it has a navigation, you can go back and you can load a different one and such. Now, how do you mount this? So if you want this in front of your screen, behind your wheel and such, what are your options to mount a phone? Well, you have, and actually you can see here underneath this skin, I have a bulk here. Now this is a metal plate, and initially I was using a kind of like a cup suction dashboard phone holder, where you have like a cup suction stand where you suction it wherever you want, on a table or on the actual wheelbase, and then it has a magnet on the other end. And this is a magnet here, I think. So then you just attach it and you can take it off and all of that stuff. If you use your main phone as the dash, then this might be the best option, because you have it in position and you just take it off. Now the reason why you might not want to go for that, because you have to attach this, so it makes your phone a bit bulkier. You have to attach this metal whatever magnet thingy. But if you use your phone in your car and in various places, and you have some of these holders, magnet holders all around, then this might be the best option, because you just magnetized here in your car, and then you go and you take it and you put it in your rig landscape. So it might be the best option for you. The other option, which I actually changed to afterwards, is having a 3D printed phone holder for your rig. Now these come in various sizes and mounts. I'll put a link to where I got this. I got this from a bloke here in UK. He makes 3D printed parts for sim racing. This is one of them. He has a lot of holders for various phones, various sizes, and also different mounts, podium and other type of wheelbases. You can find them on his website. And yeah, I got this from him, 3D printed. I don't have a 3D printer and I don't want to buy a 3D printer, so I just got this from him. Very cheap as well. And the phone just, let me show you. The phone just slides in here and it's a perfect position. And this mounts on top of my DD1 wheel. As you can see, it has this shape here. This shape is the exact shape to sit on top of my DD1. But you can also have mounts to sit in front of your wheelbase or on top. It really depends. Now this holder also, the guy was very mindful of the phone and the charging stuff, and I also asked him before buying it. As you can see, the charging port is exposed, which is brilliant because it means I can basically use it while charging as well. So that's pretty neat. Now I was talking about there are two type of mounts. You can have your phone mounted on top of your base or in front of your base. Now, as a discussion about this, I personally feel that having your phone or any type of dash in front of your base is too close to your face and too close to your wheel. Some people like that, but when you look at the GT cars and all of the other cars, usually the dashboard sits, on top of the wheel, on top of the wheelbase, whatever, in the actual car, a bit in the distance. So that's why I got this version, because I wanted the dashboard to sit on top of my on top of my wheel as close as possible, leaning basically to the screen, so that I can basically cover the in-game dashboard with this other dashboard. I don't really understand. Some people have it in front of their wheel, just attached on top in front of the wheel, and then you can see the real dashboard, but you can also see on the screen the actual in-game dashboard, which I find it bizarre. I don't know how people like to play to race like that. They either do that or they lower the car positioning. Sorry, they lift their position in the car and lower the dashboard so that the dashboard is out of the view. But then you're just sitting extremely high and your dashboard is buried under your screen view. So as you can see, I'm biased to this, but I think this is the best possible option, putting it on top of your wheelbase and as far as possible, basically as close as possible to the screens. Alright, but as probably any of you with a keen eye might have noticed that I'm not using this anymore. I have a different dashboard. Now, the reason why I have a different dashboard is because of my new series of emulating a Porsche GT interior, and I wanted to switch to an actual display. I found this bloke, and I found it as an opportunity, where he was selling a 7-inch HDMI display with LEDs on the side and on top, and that felt to me exactly the same size, the same proportions as the one in the Porsche car. And the Porsche car also has the same top LEDs and side LEDs, so it looked really close to what you find in the car. So I decided to replace this one because of the authenticity and making everything look and feel as close to that Porsche, and having real LEDs loading rather than display ones. So for that authenticity purpose, I got to replace this. Now I still love this option. It is a great option. So, you know, I do recommend it 100%. Go with this if you want. But you will have to figure out and sort out some of the annoyances around the Wi-Fi connection, maybe USB tethering or something like that. So yeah, I'll put a link in the description with all of the resources, everything that you need to set it up and such. Let me know if you have any questions, any type of questions about dashes or displays. I might do a video in the future with my current display. Again, that's not something that I bought from someone, from a company, someone that built one off. But yeah, that's kind of it. I want to close it here. Have a great one, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.